Bird chirp as I serve my brew. I'm cool with the work I do. Clock ticks in the...
What's up, YouTube? Hi, baby. Hi, Copper. Today we're gonna be feeding them their food. This one is for Copper. This is a market shrimp that is cut up into pieces, and this is for the 3 tanks that I have. This is a brine shrimp, and I'm gonna show you the process on how I feed these guys. Here we go. So Copper tends to be really picky with his food. I tried frozen krill with him. Sometimes he would take it, sometimes he won't. He used to be very good with, he knows it's feeding time. So he used to be very good with pellets, but when I introduced the market prawn to him, that kind of, like messed everything up. But it's okay because I can just introduce the pellets to him when he's bigger. But right now we're gonna feed him the market prawn. I usually cut this up into small pieces so that, because arowanas are messy eaters. So I don't know if you're gonna see it here, but like I'm gonna show you. See all those mess that he makes? That's why I'm thinking of putting a smaller catfish here, or something, or a corridorus that can like clean up the bottom, because usually when he gets this messy, what I would do is I would take all of those uneaten foods and then put them back here so that it doesn't mess up the water. But as of now, I think it's good just being alone. He's not very aggressive, but he eats a lot when he likes the food. What I can do to prevent this much mess in the aquarium is I can like cut the market prawn into smaller pieces so he doesn't have to bite through it. Let me just take that one out because that one's gonna get messy here. What I would do is I could just like drop it off like that and he would eventually find it there. Sometimes when I'm lucky, he would eat everything, but that's sometimes. It's not always. So if you can see, he still has some shrimp on his pouch right there at the bottom of his mouth. You can see that there's still a bulge in there. That means there's still food in there, so I wouldn't be putting more until he swallows everything. Arowanas are mouth brooders, so they have a really good space here at the bottom of their snout. That's where they usually would keep their eggs, while the males are the ones who's gonna keeping the eggs like after he fertilizes it. Like sometimes he would take a while to swallow everything, especially when he knows I'm watching. And basically that's how it is with this guy. You just feed him that. I try to not give him this market prawn with the shell, just because I don't want him to damage his internal organs, because the market prawn shells can be really tough. I've noticed that when I give him krill, like the small krills, like I would have to take out the head and the tail part, because if he feels that there are like sharp objects inside his mouth, he would just like totally spit it out and not eat it at all. So yeah, now let's move on to Petals. And now I'm here in the 10-gallon tank, and I'm gonna be feeding the beta petals. So what I would do with this tank is I would feed the amber tetras first, because what happens is that what I notice is that when I feed petals first, the ambers are gonna go towards him because they can smell the food's coming from up there, and then they would start biting at his tail because they'll mistake it for food. So what I would do is I would like feed the amber first, and they're really good at catching everything. Sometimes petals would be lucky and get some, but like this is how I would do it. See how fast those guys are. Like, the reason why petals had tail damage is not because the ambers are attacking him constantly, but just during feeding time, when I used to feed him first, they would mistake his long tail for like worms, because like on his tail he has like red strands of fins, and sometimes they would think that's part of a worm. Take that out because I just added water here, so the duckweeds are on the filter. Now I'm going to feed petals. So the fallen foods will go to the amanos and the red cherry shrimps. I don't know if you can see that one there, but yeah. This guy is very aggressive too when it comes to eating time, and sometimes he would miss it, and the tetras will catch those falling food. I don't overfeed them because I don't want them to get dropsy, or I don't want them to get bloated. Once I notice that they're already like their stomachs are already bulging, I would stop, because fish tend to eat whatever you put in there. They're not gonna say stop or get tired of eating. And I think that's it for this guy. Now let's move on to the 20-gallon. Here's the 20-gallon. So what I do for this one is quite different. I would turn off the filter for a bit, and turn off the power head as well, so that the food won't go anywhere and then just get lost in there. But they already know that when the filter and the power head stops, that means it's food, so they're going crazy right now. Okay, let's start feeding these babies. The guppies usually go first. The cardinals and the tetras and the neon tetras will sometimes go with the feeding frenzy. See? The pistogramma would dive here later. I think right now he's just looking at everyone while they're eating. See him right there. I'll give him his own food because he is a very shy fish. I try to feed whatever the fish can eat in the shortest amount of time, and whatever they can eat that's not gonna get lost in all this jungle of plants. The neon tetras and the cardinals certainly added more activities to this tank. I actually like their presence here because it's more alive compared to before. I would give them that. I hope they eat it. There you go. See those things that are gonna be dropping there at the bottom? I'll try to pick that up and feed them to the guppies. And sometimes they'll just get lost, but it's okay. As long as I minimize that, then I'll be fine. And I should keep up with as long as I keep up with the cleaning as well, that should be fine. There we go. I think we're done with this one. Now let's go to the rainbow fish tank. These guys, I feed them differently. Sometimes I would actually feed them bloodworms, and sometimes I would feed them the brine shrimp. But usually I would give them these right here. This is called Omega 1 pellet, and it makes their color brighter. It has different ingredients such as salmon, halibut, and then the herring, and then shrimp. So it also has some form of algae, the one that gets the red coloration on the fishes. So and another one is this thing right here. It's called cichlid gold. I find that the combination of these two makes them more colorful. So right now we're going to feed these guys the same as before. I would usually just give them whatever they can finish in a certain amount of time, and this is going to be a feeding frenzy right here. This is a very active tank right here. A lot of active swimmers, and I kind of like this tank. It is full of energy, and I think the only thing missing in this tank is a certain hint of blue, because if you can see, it's kind of like mostly green and red. So I'm not sure if eventually I'll find like a blue fish that'll be a really good contrast with the reds on this tank, reds and orange. I try to make sure that the food that are falling right there will be eaten. If you can see, there's this guy right there. It's a roseline shark, and it would usually feed on those fallen food, while the other ones here will eat the ones on top. So yeah, I try not to overfeed my fishes, just for them to stay healthier, you know. I mean, like I feed them once a week. I have a friend who actually was telling me how I'm like underfeeding my fish. I feed them once a day, not once a week. But like yeah, I find that if I feed them less, or like at least like feed them whatever they can eat, less food will go to the bottom, and then less food will decay, and then it's gonna be easier for me to maintain the ammonia level and the nitrate level on this tank. Now we're gonna go for the cichlid gold. I'll try to open this. They love the combination of these. Sometimes I would end up with splashes on the floor just because they keep on jumping for their food. And see, like that. It gets messy, but you know, it's actually really fun to. I'd rather have them do that and know that they're healthy than them be lethargic and, you know, inactive. And then just the last one for the smaller fishes, especially this guy right here. It's a lyre tail molly that my friend gave me. He's actually a really good breeder of live breeders. I'm sure he has a really good collection of them, so he gave me one that is, you know, he doesn't find really attractive to breed, so I'm like, yeah, might as well take it. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how my day is. That's how I feed these fishes right here. And if you have any questions or comments, just put it on the comment section, and I would gladly answer back every questions that you might have. If you like this video, just click on the subscribe button, and yeah, like, wait for another video coming soon. I'm gonna be updating the 180 gallon where the arowana copper will be moving into. So have a good day and fish out.